Hey guys, so for our final project for game 101, we changed our game from capture the loot to save the hostage. So the objective of the game is for teams to play and strategize against one another to capture the hostage and bring them back to the player's base. The base rules are there are 4 players, 2 on each team. Each player gets 3 champions to use, so most likely it's going to be 2 teams of 6 pieces against one another. The board is a hexagon rectangular hybrid, and bases are the flags. The objective of the game is to bring the hostage back to your home base as they are at the enemy base. Each player will get 3 champions to move around the board. They must strategically move them in the best position to defend or attack. Each player will use 1 dice with 6 sides to decide movement. The player must decide which heroes they want to move first, second, and third. The order of movement will stay the same until the game ends or a piece dies. When a piece dies and returns, they will go last in that rotation. For example, 3 pieces, let's say they are a red, green, and blue dragon. The order would be most likely red, green, and blue. If the red dies, then the order is green and blue. When the red comes back, the new order would be green, blue, and red. There are a variety of terrain tiles that we'll go over shortly. Alright, here's a quick rundown of our terrain tiles. We have the standard grass tile, which has no limitations in movement, so the number you roll, the amount of movement you get to take on grass. We have our tall grass, the dark green tiles. Attackers gain advantage when attacking. A defender loses 1 dice in the battle phase. And then we have our sand tile. You move 1 unit slower, so it takes about 2 movements per dice roll. Then we have our water. It's uncrossable without the special cards. And then we have our mountain tiles, which are very similar. You cannot cross them without the special cards as well. And we'll get to those special cards very shortly. Alright, so for special cards, we actually changed them quite a bit from our midterm. In the original midterm, you were able to get special cards by accumulating points, but we felt that made the game a bit more complex than it had to be, seeing as we had to keep score of how many tokens we were racking up to redeem for points. So in our more simple version, we made it so there were spots on the board, which in this case are indicated by white tiles, like completely white tiles, like blank tiles, that if the player would land on them during a turn, they would be able to get a special card from the deck, which is of course randomized in this case. So we're going to quickly go over the special cards right now. Alright, so here we have our first special card. It's the boat card, so it's pretty self-explanatory. It allows players to cross a full body of water. A plane card, it allows players to cross any terrain, as is most likely mountains in this case. We have attack bonus. It adds an additional die to the battle roll when a player is on offense. And we have a defense bonus, which adds an additional die to the battle roll when a player is on defense. And here we have a movement card. It gives the player an extra die to roll for player movement. It's one of the more common cards in the deck rotation. Alright, here is our wall card. It basically allows the player to block a tile, making it uncrossable for the duration of the game. Alright, so that wraps up our special cards. We're going to go ahead and transition over to gameplay. Alright, so before we begin the official gameplay, I just want to tell everybody how the board will look like when you start. So as you can see, there are clearly 2 sides of teams on the board. You see one team with like wooden knobs as their champions. You see a total of 6. It's out of the picture, but you see a kind of like a white unicorn. That's the hostage for the knob team. On the other side, you see the dragon / horn team. You can see the dragon team has their knob hostage on their side of the board, so it's pretty clear both teams have a set of hostages that they'll be trying to claim back. So in the board structure we have, as I mentioned before, it's preset in this case for demonstration purposes. We want to do a more balanced style, as our first design was more put together as we go, but we felt like for this demonstration to be effective, we should already have it together. So each team has a natural tile basically blocking the other team from easily just rushing them, which gives us forces each team to use different strategies. As you can see, the wooden knob team has like a river body of water around it to prevent a straight line rush, while the dragon team has a deep forests in between, so it gives them an advantage when they're attacking the incoming team, as well as the mountains, which prevents a big straight rush. There are backdoors for both teams to take, however, it forces them to allows the other team to be able to basically lock in on those backdoors. And we decided to put our big desert in the very middle, so if teams do want to try to, I guess, shortcut the whole process, they'll be moving a lot slower. So this creates a bunch of problems for both teams to try and figure out, which I think is where skill, which was rightly criticized in our prototype, is clearly acknowledged in our game. Alright, so here's an example of our friend Joe rolling a 4. He's going to move his pieces in 4 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, and... Okay, come on, let's move the piece, Joe. And 4. So he landed on the blink tile, which allows him to draw a special card. We're not going to reveal the special card here, but that's kind of a basic idea of how to move in the game and how to get special cards. Alright, to go in more depth, here is an example of me getting a pretty good card. So I roll a 1 here, but I'm able to, in position to get a card through the blank white tile. So I go ahead and draw a card. Oh, I'm sorry, I took the wrong pile. I got the boat card over there. And as you can see here, to balance the special cards, what we do is, I'm about to do it. Alright, I move my piece. I move over the white card, so the white tile, so it prevents anyone from getting a special card for the rest of the turn. Alright, so here's a cool example of teamwork in this game, actually. See, as you can see, 2 of our friends here, one of them gets a special card, but they show it to each other, so it allows them to be on the same page, which we allow on this game. And then you see our one player is thinking about moving, but then the other player is looking around the board too and says, oh, we can move over here, that piece over there. So, as you can see, the other team was able to get a pretty good location, a pretty good movement on their turn. So now it's our turn, and we get a 4. And let's see what Joe did. Alright, so Joe just rolled a 4. Let's see what he does. He moves 4 times. Alright, so he's able to pick up a special card because he was already on the white tile and when it reset it that time. So he's about to pick up a white card. Let's wait a little bit. Alright, so we got another boat. We got 2 boats on our team right now. Alright, so Joe here rolls a 5. He's gonna, move his piece into the forest, which will give him or the other team an advantage based on who attacks first. So he's deep in the forest now. He's basically surrounded by enemies, actually. Alright, so here's an example of a battle on the forest dark grass. So we have our friend moving his piece to attack one of our pieces that just landed on the dark grass. So this means the dark grass player gets to have 2 dice versus the defender with 1 dice. So we here have 2 dice, he rolls 10. Oh, but he uses attack boost here, so he actually gets an additional dice, which is unfortunate for us. He gets 11 total. I'm gonna roll a 6, so my piece loses right there. We're gonna move it to the graveyard where it stays out of the game for 1 round. Alright, here we're gonna showcase another consequence of losing in battle with death. You see our Joe rolls a 9. Our friend here is about to roll. Alright, he's rolling. He got a 7, so he loses that battle in normal grass. And here we're going to explain to him the rule that you're going to lose all your cards that you hold. It's player specific, so in the 1-on-1, you lose all your cards after you die. So go ahead and shuffle that deck. But yeah, it's going to do that to make players consider whether fighting is really worth it or not. Alright, so this is a clip following our latest battle. We got attacking the forest once again, which basically led to the other team decimating us at our own game. We're gonna see right here, me and Joe basically have no cards left at our disposal, and we have 2 players dead. Alright, so here we're gonna actually use one of our special cards. I roll a 5, so I'm gonna go ahead and activate it really quick. Alright, make sure that's everybody. Alright, that's the bow card, so that allows my piece to move onto water. I'm gonna be on the water right there. Alright, this gives me a strategic advantage in movement as I can now move on water for the duration of my time on the water with the boat card. On my next turn, I was able to roll a 4, which allowed me to move on to the sand. However, I quickly forget one of my rolls. So once I land on the sand, it takes up 2 movement tiles, so I can only land on sand for one of those movements. Right, so right here, we're gonna see our other team go ahead and capture the hostage. He's gonna move back, but he's gonna come back and capture the hostage. So then now it's under the other team's control, and they have to transport it back to their base. Alright, so here we're gonna fast forward a little bit as we got the gist of most of the game. We're gonna showcase how to win the game. Alright, here comes the end of the game as we see roll 6. The other team is able to transport the hostage completely back to their base, thus ending the game. Alright, so this concludes our demo. We had a bit of time constraints, so we weren't able to show all of the situations possible in the game within 15 minutes of the video. However, this kind of gives us a very good idea of how our game was. I would like to think our initial prototype was very luck-based, as it was basically 2 on 2, so with a board that big, it was very easy to move. So after we received feedback from both the professor and our peers, we were able to consider let's call it a bigger team on both sides, which made the board more condensed than it really was. So with additional players on both sides playing, it made a more skill-based approach to the game instead of luck-based as it was before with all the rolling. So we hope with that change it would significantly improve our game. Along with that, we did have a few missteps that we had to fix in our final. We originally had bases that were hidden, and we had a trap system, a point system. Upon further review and actual trial and error through the game, it was very difficult and frustrating for us to actually play the game, as we had to keep track of our own points, our own traps, and even our own base, which was just hidden. So we made the changes to our new game to make things more easier, understandable, and I hope by watching this demo, everybody is able to get a good grasp of our game, along with our PowerPoint, which will help everybody learn how to play our game. And maybe one day this game will be out in stores that you can buy. But I'd like to thank everybody on my team and in our class for helping us do the whole process with peer responses and such. And we spent countless days working on this, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening to our video. Bye.